Hello, everybody. Welcome to the MTG Place podcast. I'm your host, Corey, and with me, like always, is James. How's it going, James?
Doing good over here.
And also got Josh joining us today from Drunken, or Elder Drunken Highlander. I always want to put the Drunken first. I don't know why.
That's it, my Twitter handle has the Drunken first. So
there we go.
That might be the confusion. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. How's your day been?
It's been okay. I called out of work sick because I feel like butts, but we're at that point where I'm recovered enough to suck on a cough drop and talk about Magic the Gathering cards. So
right, yeah. I mean, there's
a great place to be.
It's more fun to talk about Magic. So
that's right.
Before we jump right into everything here, there's a couple ways you can support the podcast. You can sub to us on YouTube. You can check us out on Spotify. We have a website, mtgplace.net. Has all of our links and socials there. But yeah, so why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So my name's Josh. I'm one of the members of Elder Drunken Highlander, which is a channel that focuses on putting up very, very weird off-the-wall deck techs mostly. We do mostly just crazy stuff that we don't expect people to think of the first time they look at a commander. So one of the really cool ones we did is we've done mono blue aristocrats. We've done Boros zombie tribal. It's just really fun decks. We make them work as good as we can, and we usually end up coming up with a pretty functional deck list for a very, very weird deck archetype or some kind of crazy 12-step combo. And that's what we like doing. And then I'm also a member of the Punt Pals, which is a podcast that talks about it's a comedy podcast that's about losing, because when you play Commander, that's what 75% of people do. So we figured that's something relatable to talk about. So if you like hearing about the ridiculous mistakes that people make in games that cause them to lose, or just want to talk about Commander in general, because it's mostly losing, that's a great place to look to.
Nice.
Oh yeah, we definitely got some stories about that too. So
yeah.
Oh yeah.
One of my favorite parts of the game is getting totally blown out. It's very fun.
Yeah. My favorite one for me was when we just recently had Magic Con over here in downtown Minneapolis not that long ago. And I had my red, green, white Sidar and Tana deck, which is honestly a pretty well made, put together deck. And I had the best start I ever had. I had soul ringed and designed into got Tana out and made the Saprolings, and then on turn 5 I put out Mycoloth, and he ate everything, and he was huge.
Love that
and
card.
Then it was so good. I'm like, well, this is the best start I've ever had. This is gonna be a great game. And then during that rotation, they're Path of Exile. I'm just like, okay. And then that was it. I lost. I had nothing else.
Use up all 7 of your cards. Lose to one
mana. At least you got a land.
Yeah, I got a land. Yeah, it's and then that was it.
It's fun when that happens. I was playing CDH yesterday, and I had the safest win of my life. So I thought it was turn 3. I had a Cavern of Souls in my hand, and a Thassa's Oracle in my hand, and a Demonic Consultation in my hand, and the mana to cast it all. And I was like, oh, I'll cast the Consultation first, so that they'll think it's a value consultation, and then I'll play Cavern of Souls on Wizard and cast an uncountable Thassa's Oracle. That'll get them. And so I did that. They let the console go because either they didn't have anything for it, or they thought it was just a value console. Then I cast the Oracle, and the person completely last in priority cast Dress Down. And I what are you gonna do?
Well, yeah. Well. Yeah, that's how that goes, man.
Yeah, part of the fun.
Yeah, definitely.
When did you start playing Magic? How long have you been playing?
A while ago. So I have an interesting origin story for Magic. I started in 2009, but the cards I played with at first were passed down from my parents and my uncle, who started. The newest set I had access to was Homelands. So I was playing very old stuff. I had green-black flyers where I would try to Dark Ritual, Hypnotic Spectre turn 1, and my brother was playing mono-white weenie, splash 4 lightning bolts, and those were our decks. And we did that for a year, just playing with the family members who gave us the cards, just with all old cards. And then it was 2010, and I was in high school, and I went to Magic Club, and my first game was against Elvish Piper Ulamog, So I'm like, I go Dark Ritual, Hypnotic Spectre, turn 2, I attack, and they discard Ulamog, and I'm like, that's a fake card. There's no way it's a real card.
What is this?
Yeah, they pipered in the Ulamog on turn 4, and I lost.
Yeah, that's brutal, man.
Yeah, so I started playing like about like 13, 14 years ago, but the cards I started with were very, very old. So I have like a weird perspective.
Yeah,
that's interesting. Yeah, that's like before even like our time when we started. Yeah, we both started around 7th edition, so we've been playing for quite a while.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. But yeah, again, like we had a bunch of revised cards like handed to us, and so I was like we played with a ton of that stuff.
Oh yeah.
Like I think one of our first like 60 card tabletop decks, I was playing like Zombie Cutthroat, where you just like pay 3 life to unmorph it. I'm like, heck yeah!
You just tap and kill stuff. It's great. And then like, our buddy Ben had like his just Tower of Power Wizards. It was just like a gigantic deck of just wizards. Like, yeah, it was terrible, obviously, but like that's just what we had back in the day, you know.
Those are the days when you had like an 80 card Magic deck because you didn't want to cut 20 cards from your deck.
Exactly. Well, I mean, we didn't know what deck limits were. Like, what's this?
Yeah, I'm a children's librarian, and part of like my job is I oversee like a Magic club for tweens, and they do that all the time, and it's hilarious. I had to tell a kid he's not allowed to run 4 Soul Rings in his deck like a month and a half ago. I'm like, someone donated like 4 play sets of the Tron lands to the library, and so I use them as like prizes for like a little mini tournament. So a bunch of kids now have like full play sets of the Tron lands, and one of the kids with like this Tron, they're ramping into like 7 mana artifact creatures that you get for your draft deck because you couldn't find any bombs. So it's like not scary Tron, but like the castle from Eldraine, or like the 7 mana vehicle from Kamigawa. That's a favorite. But like this guy had like all the Tron lands and then 4 Soul Rings in his deck. I was like, you can't do that.
Oh, that's excellent.
It was the Wild West days, though. I kind of envy it.
Oh yeah, yeah, those are the good days, man.
What's your overall favorite card?
Well, that's a hard question. I have categories. I'm notorious for liking the card Mirror of Fate. So mechanically, Mirror of Fate is my favorite card. It's a 5 mana artifact that says tap, sacrifice Mirror of Fate, exile your deck, and then choose up to 7 cards that are face up that you own in exile and put them back into your deck. And you can do a lot of very silly things. Like if you have 2 Mirror of Fates, you get to like fake Doomsday, which is really great to do in non-black colors. Or I have a deck right now that I play called Reverse Doomsday, where I put all my combo pieces into my graveyard and then intentionally exile my own graveyard and then put it back with Mirror of Fate and then try to win that way. It's just really silly. I enjoy it.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's fun. It's not good. It's not good, but that's not what Casual Commander's about all the time.
That's the point, right?
Yeah. In terms of like flavor, it's definitely Grizzly Bears. That was like the first Magic card that I ever saw. Bears. Yeah, I was a Yu-Gi-Oh player, and I don't know if you guys have seen the flavor text on Yu-Gi-Oh cards, but it's nonsense. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
And then I saw like my Magic cards the first time, and Grizzly Bears was just on top of the stack, and I read it, and I was like, wow. It's like a joke. It's like, don't try to outrun one of Dominaria's Grizzlies. It'll catch you, knock you down, and eat you. Of course, you could run up a tree, in which case you get a great view before it knocks the tree down and eats you. Right. And I was like, oh my god, that's a joke on a card. This game is amazing. This game slaps.
Yeah, one of my favorites was the old Gorilla Chieftain or Gorilla Titan or whatever. Oh, he's like, I want a banana this big, and like the card art has his hands like this.
Apparently there's controversy about that. The artist was upset that was the flavor text or something like that.
Oh, really?
Someone didn't like that who was one of the people involved in designing that card. If maybe I'm totally wrong, but I mean
it's probably true. It's probably like they got the art back and like, oh, this is what I'm gonna put for the flavor text.
Yeah, exactly.
It's funny.
Because it was hilarious.
It was really funny. Yeah. My actual favorite card in terms of like the card that I jam into literally all my decks though is Ancient Tomb. I love it. It's such a fun card.
It seems really good, yeah.
I really enjoy how it makes you have to pay the life too, because it's just such a funny thing to have. Because it's in all my decks, so I'll be like, no, don't attack me. I'm mono white, losing 15 life this game to Ancient, or 16 life this game to Ancient Tomb. It's just silly. My friends who know me, they'll point it out. They're like, no, I'm attacking Josh because I guarantee he's going to put an Ancient Tomb into play this game.
Yeah, it's like what do they say, Corey, in was it Vintage or Legacy, like stacks or whatever? It's just like, well, win cons on the board, because it's like they have like crypt, and they're like taking 3 every turn because they're missing their coin flip. It's like, yep. It's like they're bolting themselves every turn. Win con and field. Just let them kill themselves.
I'm a big
or
fan.
like when was that you, Corey, the last time we were playing? You were like librarying yourself for like 8 damage a turn or something like that. I was like, well, he's gonna kill himself.
Oh, yeah, I do that every time too with Sylvan Library. I almost always take 8. It's just whatever. You win or you lose.
Right. It's like I'm either gonna draw a bunch of cards that are gonna help me, or I'm gonna lose. Like, so whatever. Game gets over
time,
faster.
Yeah.
I very much.
That's the worst, when the games last like 4 flipping hours. It's just like, oh my god, like this is awful. Sometimes
I like learned to play against a bunch of like people who favored like stacks and or mid-range decks, and so I was like initially like a very cautious, careful player. And then I met a bunch of people who played like storm decks, and I was like, oh, this is the way. I can't go back now. Now I'm just like, always take 8 from Sylvan Library, always tap out every turn. Heck it, we're here to cast spells.
Dang right.
Yeah,
it's more fun though.
I lean to almost always playing black in my decks, and so
like, black is very much
life's a resource there. So I'm just like, all right, go to 1, don't care.
If you're still alive, man.
Yeah,
exactly.
If they have a bolt on top, whatever, who cares? We'll move on.
What's your favorite commander deck you've built?
That's a really difficult question.
Or the one you play most often currently, I guess.
Hundreds.
That's a lot.
Yeah. I proxy most of my cards, so I rotate through them pretty consistently, so I play most of them. The ones that I actually have in paper are the ones that I guess are like the ones that I really, really like. I think the one that I think is like my baby is Bear Tribal, because obviously Grizzly Bear is my favorite flavor card. And it used to be Ayula, but then they printed Wilson, and I was like, oh, I can have Folk Hero and draw a card when I cast a bear. That's so much better than having a giant removal magnet in the command zone, because Ayula's got to die. Right. I don't blame people for killing her. She's got to die. She's terrifying. So now I have a Ward 2 commander that does something innocuous, and the deck is so much better. And it's just very fun. It's Bear Storm, so I like try to play like bear / elf ball things. I'm trying to live by the flavor text of Runeclaw bears, because it mentions the bears and the elves working together. And so I'm trying to like Cryptolith right all my bears, and then do like a mana combo with that, and then spam infinite bear ETBs into a Eula, fight everything, and then attack. It's awesome. Very, very fun. Yeah.
That seems fun.
Yeah, it sounds like a good time.
It's like definitely it's the deck that Timmy and Storm in one.
Yeah. What more do you want?
Exactly. Yeah, it scratches all the itch. I get to play cute bear cards. I get to take a lot of game actions in one turn. I get to do something that I haven't seen other decks do, which I really like doing, like unique things.
Yeah, that's always fun. Yeah. I personally am I like to play either lots of things on the board at once or big things. That's kind of usually I'm a very green player, so that's what green likes to do, you know. Go as wide as you can and just trample people. It's always a good time when you get to do that.
I like green because it's so versatile.
I mean, it's great, honestly. It's like one of the best colors. It used to be very one-sided back in the day, but like now it's just like it has a bunch of removal, it has a bunch of protection. Like the only thing you don't really get is counters. Like the one thing like you don't really have, but like other than that, green does a lot of stuff.
I have a mono green control deck that's built around like exactly what you said. The only thing green can't do is counter spells. It's really, really fun. It's a Rasta in the command zone, so whenever an opponent casts an instant or sorcery spell, I get a spider. And since I can't counter your instant and sorcery spells, instead I'll play Thorn Mammoth. So if you cast an instant or sorcery spell, I'll get a spider and kill your commander. So don't cast them. And that's how I counter this. Awesome. That's how I counterspell you. It's really fun. Yeah. I built, I think, more mono green decks than any other color combo or single color. Like by far. Yeah, it's
I
just
feel like
so
mono
fun.
green is so much fun to just like throw jank green cards in and it'll still be
just see what it does, you know. Green can really surprise you.
Yep.
Me being a very, green being very, dear to me. Like it can very much like, because there's especially like, older, seasoned Magic players will scoff like, "Oh, green, you're so basic." It's like green can do a lot, man.
Yeah.
It will surprise you.
Yeah, I have like mono green control. I have mono green spell slinger. I have mono green artifacts. It's just really, really fun to build. You can build really,
Yeah.
I think any archetype besides like certain like tribes or types that only have a little bit of support in green. I think pretty much everything besides like that, like the typal decks, can be built in mono green. You could really do anything.
Right. And there's Corey there who likes to just kill stuff. So yeah, that's basically what he does.
Things. That's
or reanimate. That's the other thing he does.
Green could do that too.
Yeah, my main deck's Carador now, so like I just reanimate everything.
Oh, Carador is so much fun.
Got green and black, and then some white for removal.
Yeah, for the things that black can't do, which is still very much a problem. They've made one card, for black to remove enchantments.
I think it's like 3 now, but yeah.
The other ones give you. Oh yeah, the other one's like 6 mana though.
They're not good.
There's a couple now too that it's like each player sacrifices an enchantment or a creature. So it's like if you played it when they have no creatures.
Yeah, then
it's an enchantment.
Yeah. There's the one from Kamiga that says target player exiles enchantment they control too, but that's like they have to pick the enchantment. So
right.
Not a fan
which
of it.
is usually not good.
Yeah, if someone's hitting you with an enchantment that you want to remove, they usually have other enchantments too.
Yeah. Most decks do.
What's my other favorite deck I built recently is I have a mono green Super Friends.
That's fun.
So I just play the boring class and doubling seasons, the ones that actually double the counters for the planeswalkers.
Yeah,
just
that's
play
always
the new
fun.
Nisa and just be like, oh, okay, now what are you gonna do?
That's super sick. I used to have mono green Super Friends a while ago, like 7-8 years ago with Freyalise, and it was really, really fun. Yeah.
There's a lot of really good green planeswalkers nowadays. So
yeah, back then there weren't. They're just a bunch of 3/3 beast tokens on the battlefield all the time. That was really the deck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, old school Garruk or whatever. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That card is so. I feel like everyone forgot about the 4-mana Garruk that untaps 2 lands and has an overrun. Hey. That card is still really, really good. It's only
I still play it. It's a really good card, man. Overrun is very underrated. First of all,
I know.
And then untapping 2 lands, it can be any 2 lands. You know, like one of my favorite things to do is tap Cradle and then untap it and then tap Cradle again. Who doesn't want to do that?
We have so many like new things that work with them too. Like I use them with War Room a lot, which is really great. Just draw extra cards. It's mono green, so I only take 2 life. It's fine. It's
right.
I think people have that's a card that like as more cards have gotten printed, people have removed that from their deck. Maybe they had a bad experience where a flyer just killed it instantly or something. But like I feel like it's a card that people should put back in their decks. It's a really, really good card.
Yeah, sure. It's in the vintage cube, and I've actually been drafting it higher and higher because if you get any of the dumb lands that are good to untap, then it's like, all right, I'm just gonna put this in my deck.
Garruk Academy.
Yep, Garruk Academy, Garruk, Cradle, Garruk. Even Agent 2 is pretty good with it. Like,
that's
I'm well aware.
Or you just load up a bunch of Utopia spells on a forest.
Yeah.
So.
Always a good time there. There's just so much utility with that card. Like I almost never use the second ability on it. Like I'm almost always untapping stuff or overrunning. It's like, that's what you want to do.
Same here. We don't need more 3/3 beasts.
No, I usually am making better things.
I think I could probably
flying angels or something like that.
I think I've probably done it like less than 5 times in my entire life.
Yeah.
If you jam it out, you usually do it so you can protect it. But like if it's like turn 4, nothing else on board, then maybe I'll make
which for me that's pretty rare. So, but games are always interesting though.
Yeah, it's a really fun card. Usually when I'm playing, I don't play a lot of planeswalkers in my decks because people kill them a lot, and I don't like to play creatures that much. I'm not a big creature guy. If I'm playing creatures, they have to have a lot of like velocity. They have to do things immediately after I cast them. I really hate untapping things. Storm player mentality. So like I don't have a lot of creatures in my deck, so as a result, I don't have a lot of planeswalkers in my decks because I can't protect them very easily.
Right? Yeah, they just kind of die.
Yeah,
which makes sense.
It's what I get. It's a deck building issue. Not really an issue, but consequence.
Yeah. What's the other? Do you play that? What's the card I've been sneaking in a couple times for mono green? Is Avoid Fate.
Oh, what's that one?
It's like 1 green and it counters target instant that targets one of your permanents.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
it's like a green counter spell for 1, but it only can counter it if it targets one of your things.
It's a very, very specific card, though.
But it's good against removal when they try to just like, kill your creature.
That's like literally all it's for. It's literally removal protection.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Is only your creatures?
I usually have other stuff.
I think it's any of your permanents.
Oh, okay.
Like if they try and blow up your land, you can use it.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool.
Which, that's fair. There's usually have things that I use, but yeah.
The Emerald Dragon from Baldur's Gate, I think that's also a green counterspell. It counters like an activated ability.
Yeah,
it's like
interesting.
It's kind of like a stifle, but green. It's weird.
Yeah, there's another like green counter and activated ability card that's really old. I forget what it was. I was on it for a little bit in my control deck, but it never came up. I forget the name of it.
It's always interesting because every time I play it, people are like, "What the hell is that card?"
It's fun.
That's fair, yeah.
I like Warping Whale for the same reason. It's a colorless spell that says counter target sorcery. It has other modes too that are also really good. It makes like an Eldrazi Scion or exile something with toughness 1. Yeah, maybe it's power 1, one of the two. But it counters a sorcery, which is so
power
good.
Or toughness 1, I don't remember, but
I used to have
the mode I choose the most when I play it usually.
Right.
I usually
that's usually what you're trying to target.
Yeah,
It's also the annoying things usually.
Yes. Yeah, a lot of annoying things are tiny ones like Mother of Ruins, which can't be saved by that because it's colorless. You can't protect yourself.
Which is really good. Yeah, mommy is very annoying.
Yeah. I usually use it to counter like board wipes or extra turn spells. I had it in my my mono black wizard tribal deck or wizard typal deck. I'm still getting used to that. They didn't have it. There's not a lot of counter spells in black, but I was parodying mono blue, so I had Warping Whale and just a bunch of ways to recur it. And then I had Force of Despair too, so people could play a creature. And I'm like, no, I don't like that. I'm gonna force your creature.
That's
like
always
it was
good.
a force of will. Yeah, it was funny.
It's funny.
I like doing that for decks. I like building parody decks that parody like other colors or other strategies. It's really, really fun.
Right.
I used to have a you guys know the Chain Veil Teferi CDH deck at all?
I know those cards.
It's like at this point it's kind of a deep cut. It was like a very, very prolific deck in like 2018.
Okay.
Okay.
It's made a resurgence recently. It's back. But basically it uses Teferi, the 6-mana one that can be your commander, and the Chain Veil to untap a bunch of rocks repeatedly, make infinite mana and infinite planeswalker activations, and win somehow.
Oh God.
there's a guy in my locals who played it a lot, and he was very good, and he was hard to beat. So when they printed the dual deck, the blue-white dual deck Teferi that got summoned by Niambi, Faithful Healer, I was like, oh, here's my chance to make a parody deck. So I made Thane Veil Teferi, because the 6-mana Teferi from Niambi untaps a single card, so you can untap just the Chain Veil. So if you have 20 mana in the Chain Veil, you can untap him enough to use his ult, which is take an extra turn, and you can do that every single turn. So his deck was like a bunch of stacks because it's like got to slow the game down so that he can untap his stuff and no one else can. So I played a bunch of just like counter spells and things that would play through his stacks so that his stacks worked for me, and then I just hijacked his strategy and then won parodying his deck. Counterspelled his chainmail. Like I thought I dealt his chain veil one game. It was really, really funny.
That is funny.
Man.
How have you like Eldraine so far? You built any decks with those cards yet or anything?
Yeah, the set's really cool. The art is amazing. I think that's my favorite part of the whole set. It's just all
really
the art.
Is.
Fantastic.
I love the original Eldraine too, and this one. Like they're just great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they did such a great job. I really like the
flavor and everything. It's just so good.
Yes. Yeah. I built 2 decks because of Eldraine, I think. Yeah, 2. One of them just because of Beseech the Mirror. That card's sweet.
Yeah,
that really made me rebuild Grixis Malcolm because I want to turbo out Glenhorn Buccaneer with Beseech the Mirror. That seems good. And I've been loving that deck. I could talk about that forever. We're gonna skip over that though because it's like a complicated CDH deck. But the other deck that I really like from Eldraine, I've been having so much fun playing it, is the Goose Mother. It's just such a fun card, and every time
it's really good, yeah,
a lot of my friends built it. I mean, what's up?
It's almost like Hydrate Crisis in your command zone.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's so versatile too. Like I built it. Another friend built it, and a third friend built it. We all have different decks. One person is Voltron. One person is like birds, and I'm going all in on the eggs. My deck, I make as many eggs as possible, and I don't crack them for cards or life because a goose would never eat her babies. And then I play like Gaia's Anthem and Margin Machines so that the eggs become creatures with power and toughness, and then I overrun and kill everybody because a real goose mother would raise her babies to be ferocious geese like her. It's really fun. There's like a feeling of power from like Quarter calling in like a Cyberdrive Awakener, so all your eggs become 4/4s. The casting Overwhelming Stampede to give them all +15/+15 from your massive goose. It's so fun. It's so fun.
Oh, that's hilarious.
It's great. I love the play patterns too because I don't attack with the goose because I'm trying to just protect my nest. So I just play this giant goose and I sit there, and if people kill it, I'm like, oh, this is amazing. I get to play another goose. And so eventually people learn, they're like, oh no, don't mess with Josh's board. He just wants to replay the goose. If you can't kill the eggs, don't do anything. I just get to sit and dirtle all to my heart's content and no one messes with me because it would help my game plan if they killed the goose. It's wonderful. I really just love the deck so much.
That's amazing.
Yeah, we have a deck tech for it on the channel actually. It's like a little like 10-minute thing that we do where we go over it.
Awesome.
It's a really good time.
Yeah, I just built because I saw the artwork and I was like, I must build that deck. So I just built Sir Ginger, the Meal Ender. So it's colorless, and it's actually really good. So it's kind of like, because you would think colors, you think Eldrazi, but instead I just built around that second part, but like when it goes to the graveyard. So it's like all the artifacts that like sack themselves and just keep buffing the Sir Ginger. So it's almost like a Voltron-y like that. But you get to just scry, draw, and do all these weird combo things. You're like, cool.
That's
War Room's super good in it too because it's pay 0 life, draw a card.
I mean, what more do you want, man?
It's colorless.
That's cracked. I never thought about that.
Yeah.
Ooh, I should build a deck that just spams War Room and colorless. How do I do that? I can turn it into a creature, and then I can untap it with like an Ice-Cron Scepter combo, maybe.
God, you're giving my ideas.
Well, you can make it an artifact and just use like Voltaic Key.
Yeah, but I want to do it infinitely. I want to draw my deck with War Room. I'll think on that. That's a future thing. There is a colorless Ice-Cron Scepter combo that I don't remember that exists.
Yeah, there's quite a few with Ice-Cron, I think, and there is a way to just get infinite untapped and colorless. I can't remember what the cards are though.
I made a Reddit post about it like years ago.
Yeah, there definitely is.
I could go dig and find it, but
there's many forks when you're doing colorless.
Yeah.
They're not hard to find, especially these days. They decided to make a lot of stuff do that, so it's always a good time. Yeah, what's that card in Eldraine that's like the cake that's like eating people? That's hilarious too. I love that, like the monstrosity. That card's amazing.
I love the
Devouring Sugar Ma.
Yeah, that. Oh, that card's so good.
I love the Candy Kingdom thing they have going on there. It was so cool.
Like monstrosity and all that, and the tough cookie and
there's oh God, Eldraine is so good. I love the set.
Yes, it's amazing. It's everything that I
wanted.
Best
set that's come on a long time. So
yes, oh yeah. I'm just really excited for all the sets this year. Last year, I was really feeling the product fatigue, and I was like, "This is too much stuff. It's cool, but like,
don't forget we had MTG 30 last year, which was So yeah.
I'm kind of glad for MTG 30 though, because it was the last straw for like my locals proxying, and now everyone just proxies decks, and I don't have to play against bad CDH decks anymore.
That's pretty much
that is what happened.
I'm just gonna start printing off cards. I usually own a copy of everything anyways, and it's like, if you really wanted me to go play it in a tournament, I would just take apart my other decks and do it.
Yep. Yeah, that's what I have to do when I enter CDH tournaments.
Royal pain in the ass.
Like, it's frustrating. I wish that more tournaments allowed no proxies. There are like for at least for Legacy and CEDH, there are tournaments that do no proxies. Like the bigger ones for CEDH are all or not no proxies, proxies. For Legacy, they allow proxies, and then for CDH, the ones like run by Eminence allow proxies as long as they use actual magic art. but
Okay.
like locals still don't do it, which is really frustrating.
We have a couple local game stores here that do allow.
There's a shop or two that I've been to that do allow proxies
they allow
for like
15,
Legacy.
15 proxies, and it has to be.
Yeah,
but
even that's
smaller.
prohibitive with CEDH though. Like 15 proxies is
for sure.
not a lot.
Like,
You're still got $1,000.
I mean, this is just
proxies.
for Legacy. They do that,
yeah.
And then they
this
but
is
they pay out
too.
cash, like store credit prizes, so it's not like you're playing.
It's not sanctioned, so it wasn't. Yeah, so it was fine.
That's my nitpick with it is like Commander's not a sanctioned format, and competitive Commander is super, super, super not a sanctioned format. So I don't understand why stores need to enforce like my locals is 7 proxies. Like why do we need that? Just let
7 proxies in a freaking Commander deck? That's nothing.
Yes, exactly. I'm like, okay, great. There's dual lands and like half the rocks you need that are above a couple $100 each. So yeah. So it's frustrating. I've been to ones that say you can proxy anything on the reserved list, which I think is more reasonable. But I'd rather just be like proxy whatever you want, as long as the proxy isn't a proxy you can use to cheat.
Right. Yeah. That's how it should be, honestly. Because it is very prohibitive for some people.
Yeah, because I mean, like, when people use proxies too,
I'm very lucky, and I am honestly both of us, but me especially, started Commander like very early, so I was lucky enough to get a lot of the cards before they went way up in price like they are now. Like Gaia's Cradle, I bought that when that was $35.
Jeez,
man, this is like in 2010, so that's why. And all of a sudden now it's like, oh, it's like I can buy a Mox practically. It's like, what the hell? But yeah, like it's ridiculous how much things have gone up just because of Commander.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm more for when the proxies are like just printed on paper or something, or like handwritten, because like when they print it like actually on cardstock, it's really hard to tell if it's real or not. That's what it's like. Are you trying to get away with something?
Yeah, like it needs to be like a printed out, like it looks like the card. Like
you can get printed proxies that are like made of this like same material as playing cards though.
Oh yeah,
that are really, really, really great. They look
People
front
make
looks like the real
good
cards.
looking proxies. Yeah,
as long as you don't break.
You don't have to spend $1,000 for 5 whatever like MTG 30 wanted you to do.
Yeah. Honestly, I haven't seen any with like a Magic card back. I've only seen ones with. I have a couple with a back that says abolish the reserve list, and I have a couple with a back that just says proxy. But even if they didn't have, if they had like a regular Magic card back, they're clearly made of plastic, like playing card plastic. You can bridge shuffle them and stuff.
Right.
So there's no way, unless you're really not looking at them critically, there's no way you could think it's a real card.
Yeah. And they're usually like silver bordered or something too. It's like you can tell. Like they make it obvious normally.
Yeah. The cool thing about them too is like if you get into like Photoshop and stuff, you can make some really, really cool looking proxies.
Oh yeah, I have one that's what is it? It's Earthcraft. But it's just the Ewoks.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I bought it for like $1 online. Like it's just, and like the back just says Magic the Proxying.
That's amazing. That's so cool.
Great. Yeah, I love stuff like that.
I got a foiled Jewel Lotus that someone gifted me. That's just like zoomed in and like looks like a redrawn version of the art with like a different angle. And the foiling on it is like not the same way that Magic does foiling, and it looks so cool in the sleeve. I'm like, it's for a deck that I want fully foiled out. I'm like, I'm not even gonna get a foiled Jewel Lotus. Like, heck that. This is prettier. I like this better. And it costs like $20.
Yeah, instead of whatever the heck that costs now. Like,
yeah. It's a really pretty proxy too. It's probably like the prettiest. I don't know. I like it more than a lot of the actual Magic cards that I own.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah.
I've got a couple of cards like that. I mean, mostly the things I have are tokens because I use a lot of tokens. So I do have some tokens that are pretty.
Well, there was a few tokens that weren't even printed like until recently.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I have like the Voja token, which you can't even get. So I literally had to print it off.
Yeah.
Because they don't have it.
Yeah.
So it's just like, ugh. So I've done that too.
Yeah. The nice thing about tokens is, like, at least with those ones, it's always been acceptable to draw your own.
Right.
I couldn't imagine if, like, when I started playing, like high school Magic Club, if I made a Saproling token off my Night Soil and I didn't have the actual Saproling token, because of course I didn't, and I just had, like, the scapegoat tokens from Yu-Gi-Oh! That I was using. If my opponent was like, no, you don't have a Saproling token, your Night Soil can't make a creature, I would have cried. I would have cried and gone home.
Like, really? Use just whatever, dice, card sleeves.
That's what we've always done. I can remember when my friend John he was playing what was it? I think it was Bitter Blossom, the fairies deck, and he was using the old Ancient Muse from like the old Pokemon 2000 movie or whatever it was that you got for going there. He had like a whole stack of those. Like he used those as his fairies, and people were like, "Oh my god, that's amazing!"
That's
like,
super cool.
I haven't seen one of those in like 20 years.
I had a friend with a.
The best was when I was at a regionals one time or whatever. This when Hornet Queen was standard, and so whenever this guy I played against played Hornet Queen, he just used Beedrills as the tokens.
That's amazing.
That's awesome. That's some good flavor right there.
I have a friend who had a Tago deck for a little while, and he used actual like little tiny pebbles instead of the rocks, which is great. It was really, really fun. Except you couldn't tell when they were tapped, which was relevant because he played like Conspire stuff. So we told him to stop doing that. But
that's a little problematic.
I was like, I don't know how many rocks you just tapped. They're all vaguely ovular.
Yeah, just
please use dice. Thank you.
Something we can tell. Oh man,
even the dice is hard to tell unless the dots are different or odd shaped.
Yeah.
Oh, we had him do like a die for untapped rocks and a die for tapped rocks, and then he can put the rocks wherever. That way, he just has them at the top of his playmat, and we can see how many rocks are tapped and untapped. He ended up taking the deck apart because it was a pain in the butt to track everything. It was trying to make as many tokens as possible off of lands entering, and he ended up hating that.
Yeah, there's a lot of decks that realize that when you play them in person, it's like, oh great, I have 1,000 triggers, and I have to remember it all, and it's just really mentally taxing to play that kind of deck in real life. Where if you play it on the computer, you're like, it does it all for you, and you're like, whatever, it's fun.
Brago, anybody? All of the freaking triggers? Oh my god, the deck's a pain in the ass to play.
At one point we were drinking, and it was like late at night, and he cast a Harrow, and he's like, okay, I'll make 2 rocks and 2 zombies, and someone pointed out a Scoot Swarm, and he's just like, I scoop. I don't want to do the Scoop Swarm math. It's 2 a.m.
That's too many.
Yeah, he was like, I'm done. He was like dead on board to flyers and was just trying to like take aim actions. He's like, I can't. Yeah. I'm taking this deck apart.
I can remember back in college when like we would be playing Magic, and there'd be some games where they'd have to bring out the calculators because like life totals got too out of hand. That's when I was like, okay, I'm gonna go and do something else. This is too much.
That's why I started playing.
I've been out of the game for like 20 minutes already, sitting there like doing this crap. So like, oh.
That's why I started playing combos, because my brother had a math-based life gain deck where he would blink Sarah Avatar with Trostani on the battlefield and other life total manipulators. Like you gained 1 extra life if you were to gain life, but also this thing doubles the life that you gain, and this guy gets a counter for each instance of life. And I was like, this is too much math. I don't know how much life you have. I'm just gonna one-shot you. I'm sick of this.
Yep. Good times.
Have you looked at any of the Doctor Who cards yet?
I have. I'm so excited for this. I just started watching the show.
Cool. Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. I just started watching it like a year ago, less than a year ago. Like right before they made the announcement, coincidentally. I just got like the season finale of the 11th Doctor with the Silence. I literally just watched that. That's what I was doing right before coming on here.
David Tennant?
No, that's Matt Smith.
The one after.
Okay,
yeah. I really like Matt Smith and Amy and Rory. They're great.
That's where I'm at too. I'm like almost to the end of the Matt Smith one because I like started and I love David Tennant and I watched all the way through that.
Yeah,
and then I was slowly watching this one because I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna like the next guy.
Right, well, David Tennant made such a mark on the show. It was very hard to follow. But yeah, Matt Smith's done a good job. So.
I like him better, honestly. I like him better, but that might just be because I'm very infatuated with Amy and Rory. I think they're fantastic. Yeah. I have an Amy and Rory deck that I built. Well, it's Amy and the 11th Doctor because Amy gets Rory when she enters, so we don't need him in the command zone. And it's Amy's like when she deals damage, you remove that many time counters. So this whole set is such a flavor home run. It's amazing. They did such a great job.
Oh, they really did. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the art again, it looks really good too. Like I'm super excited for a lot of the cards that are going to be coming out. So yeah.
It's great. Amy removes time counters when she deals damage, which I think you're supposed to use to get Rory, because that's what she always does in the show. But I used it with all those suspend cards that resuspend themselves after you cast it, and I put a bunch of swords on her so she can get all the suspend stuff off at the same time. One of them says creatures can't attack you. So if you get a 4/4 unblockable Amy, creatures can't attack you for the rest of the game because you suspend it, and then every turn you have enough damage to remove all the suspend counters and cast it again. It's a really, really silly deck.
That's fun.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, I was like, Corey, was that you had a deck that had a deck like that back in the day of Child of Alara? Where creatures can't attack you?
Oh, that was just the Blazing Archon creature.
Or no, it was Blazing Archon. That's what it was.
Yeah. We're trying to build our own Blazing Archon. That's what we're doing.
So,
Blazing Archon,
new
but with
Blazing
extra
Archon.
steps.
Yeah.
No, sweetie, we have Blazing Archon at home.
Exactly.
I mean,
that's basically what these are, right?
Just Isocron Orms chant too.
Yeah, so. Maybe I should rename the deck to Blazing Archon at home. That'd be kind of funny.
That'd be really hilarious. I'd love that.
I used to play that because I used to play like an Ankh deck. You know the Ankh of neutral where they take damage and they play a land.
That deck was
just,
terrible.
Like, keep flickering your opponent's lands.
Yeah. It would just bounce literally everything.
I would play things like whenever you cast a spell, counter it unless they pay 2, or sacrifice a permanent or something like that. Like it's just ridiculous. And then I had the suspend card that bounces something and then comes back with 3 time counters, and you just keep.
Oh yeah.
Things. So bounce your land. Oh
my! Wait, that's a permanent. Oh my gosh, you're right.
Yeah. It was awful. It was actually terrible to play against. Like, we were very low power level at the time. Like, so for our play group, that was a very high power level deck for us. Like, we couldn't deal with that. Like, it was horrible.
It's really funny. Like, what decks become menaces at the low power level. My friend has a cleric deck with Pull from Eternity, where he like feed hunters creatures and then pull from Eternity them back into the graveyard. So if you kill the feed hunter, you don't get it back. And that was like one of the best decks in our like little group for a while, because you couldn't beat a deck that was 22 feed hunters basically.
Right. Yeah.
And like if you go to kill the fiend hunter, he's gonna respond with a Pull for the Eternity. You're hecked. There's nothing you could do.
Oh yeah.
Yep, that's the worst. It's like even now, like we have because we have a guy that plays snakes, like blue green snakes with the unblockable snake. It's hard to beat that if you because if you don't just like kill him first, eventually he has enough mana to just make his commander unblockable and hit you for commander damage.
Yeah, he literally wins with just commander damage. Like that's literally what he does. It's like
Cassetto's great. My friend used to play a Cassetto deck, but it was the epic spell that makes a snake every turn.
Yeah.
He would cast Hive Mind and then play that, and he called it the Great Snake Mistake. And he would have Cassetto on the board, and so he would win because he could buff his snakes and nobody else could, and no one else could cast spells for the rest of the game.
Oh my god, screw that.
It was hilarious. It was the funniest thing. It's like 16 mana to do the combo, so it's fine. He can get it. He can do that. That's cute.
Yeah, it's adorable. Although I will say one of the decks that I did play against when I was doing Commander Pods at MagicCon was someone had a Coma deck where he literally just like had cards that copied Coma.
Oh my god, that's terrible to play against.
Horrible.
I would not want to play
every
against
turn
that.
he get like 5 or whatever, or every upkeep. So not just his, every upkeep he get like 5 of those 3/3s that he just like sack if they someone targeted one of his Comas. He just sack them. Oh, it's fine. Because it makes it indestructible or whatever. So it was impossible to deal with. Like it was, and he just like mow you over with like 50 damage, like in like 3 turns. It's like it was terrible.
Yeah, I would definitely scoop to that.
That was rough.
I'm a big proponent of just scooping in casual Commander when someone presents way too much advantage and control. You're just like, I don't want to play Magic for another 30 minutes of you slowly beating us down. I know there's still a chance for me to win, but I'm also here for fun. Good game, friend. You have a great deck.
I don't want to play this for 3 hours.
Well, yeah, that was the other thing too. Is like, what was it? Like when Turgid was a thing, I was like, I don't think people realize how powerful this card is. I'm like, here, I'm going to build a deck with just what I have laying around. So it wasn't even like full power. It was just what I had laying around, and it took 3 of them against me to almost beat me. I still won.
Yeah.
I kind of resent Turgid so much because we made a Turgid video and I still get DMs about it. And we made the video because it was like there's like a silly Turgid combo. If you have Grave Pact and Mikaeus the Unhallowed, what you do is you sacrifice a creature, your opponent sacrifices their creature with Grave Pact. It goes to your side of the field because of Turgid. Then you sacrifice it. Mikaeus the Unhallowed triggers and puts it back under its owner's control. And then you can sacrifice your own creature, and then Turgid gives you their opponent's creatures back, and you get to win with your opponent's creatures. So we made a video about that because that's silly, and then somehow that became like a one of the more viewed Turgid deck videos, and everyone was like asking us for serious like competitive Commander Turgid advice, and we were like, stop. We built a deck with a 14 mana combo. Stop asking me for competitive Commander advice.
It's not supposed to be competitive.
We were literally like making fun of Turgid.
Right.
Like, oh, this card's so good. Here's a really terrible combo to do with it.
What's the other one
exactly.
that everyone skips their draw and then they search for a card instead?
Oh, Marlin the Morning Song.
Yeah. So if you put opposition agent with that out, you just get everyone's draw.
Yeah.
Oh God.
It's like you win.
Yeah, that's good.
That's my friend's competitive commander deck is that it's Varagoth the Blood Sky Sire, and he tutors for Oppo, and then he plays it, and he either tutors from Marlin and locks people, or he plays the Oppo and then uses Varagoth to search someone else's deck for their Thassa's Oracle, and then casts his Consultation and wins. It's really silly.
Gross.
Yeah. Marlin doesn't always work in competitive because people just kill it.
Yeah.
Right.
But
yeah.
It's a cool lock.
I will say my most despised deck was my old roommate John I used to live with had a Zedru deck. If you don't know what Zedru does, it's stupid because it lets you donate things, which sounds nice until they donate things like what's that card called? Delusions of Grandeur or whatever it is, where like it comes into play, you gain 40 life, and if it leaves play, you lose 40 life. Well, it comes into play, he gains 40 life, then he gives it to you. So then if you lose 40 life, if it leaves, it's or 20 life, that's what it is. Yeah. It's dumb. It's so stupid. It had just dumb stuff like that, and then he just have like prison effects and whatnot, so you couldn't like touch him. And then he just went with like Insurrection or something like that, and just like take control of your creatures and just beat you down. Like it was such a terrible deck to play.
My friend's Zedru deck used to donate like Steel Golem, so you couldn't cast creature spells.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Hated it.
Yeah, he had stuff like not Winter Orb, but like stuff like that, like Meek Stone, things like that. It's like you couldn't even attack him. It's just like, oh, it was so brutal.
It was annoying. My least favorite thing about Zedru is for a long time, like 3-4 years, Zedru was the hands down just the only good commander option in Jeskai. So
yeah, it was like the Jeskai deck, basically.
So like, even if you didn't have a Zedru deck built around donating stuff, like every once in a while you'd play an asymmetrical enchantment and donate to summon the draw cards because it's better than, I don't know, Ruhan the Fomori or Newmont the Devastator who just get you targeted every single game.
Exactly.
It wasn't even that good.
Right.
So it's, I used to like Zedru artifacts because I could donate some of my asymmetrical artifacts and it was better than nothing.
Yeah.
I just want Jeskai.
But yeah, that deck is the reason why my main commander deck still has aura shards in it, because I just hated all of his enchantments and artifacts. Like, I'm going to kill everything right now.
What happened to aura shards? Is that one that the social contract took out? I feel like that card's still insane bonkers and just people.
Oh, I think it's great. I still play it.
People just don't play it because they don't want to pay 3 mana to play it and then play a creature, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's
well,
super
I'm
good
sorry that I play.
I mean, I get that everyone plays really cheap removal now, but it's like if it sticks for a turn, it's good.
Yeah, for me, it's like I can hit almost everyone's enchantments in a couple turns. Like if I go off crazy, it's just like I don't care. It's like aura shards. And next turn I play White Sun Zenith and play a shit ton of cats. Oh, all your stuff's gone. That seems good.
I think it's also like a card that salts people out a lot, and I think that's another reason we don't see it as much.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think people have. I don't know. I feel like this is a weird tangent, but I feel like the casual commander meta with the pandemic got really weird, where cards like aura shards and stuff, I feel like were more fine like pre-pandemic, and then the pandemic happened. Everyone played a crap load of commander online, and I feel like discussions around power levels shifted a lot in that time because everyone was talking about them a lot. And I think when we came out of it, things were a little different for like the cards that people played. And I think that people focused a lot less on like making opponents lose and a lot more on like focusing on doing their deck's thing, which isn't a complaint. Right. I kind of like that better. That's kind of always been my thing because Storm player. But it's just something I've noticed, and I feel like cards like Aura Shards are like a casualty of that mentality of just like, nah, I want to do the cool thing for my deck. I'm not going to focus so much on disrupting my opponent's decks until it absolutely matters.
Right.
Yeah. I don't
I'll
know.
still do it if you're
kind of
annoying
the
me. I'm
opposite.
sorry.
It was kind of the opposite because I went in like, oh, okay, I don't want to make stupid bonkers busted decks, and now I'm just like, I don't care. Like,
Yeah.
if you want to play a busted deck, I'll play a busted deck. Whatever, doesn't matter. If the game's over in 5 turns, whatever, we can play another one.
Like, all my decks are fair, to be honest. Like I don't we don't usually do infinite combos or anything lame like that, or turn 1 wins, whatever. Like we don't have decks like that, and honestly, those aren't really that fun. We rather just have a fun game, but like, yeah, if you have things that are gonna tick me off on the field, I will destroy them. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Well, not really. I don't run a lot of removal in my decks that's not designed to like be like the eject button to save me. But I become like a very aggressive politicker when someone has like something that I don't like on the board. Just every time someone says something, I'll be like, yeah, but that person has this thing, or something like that. Or I'll like constantly try to make deals to like just undercut what the player I don't like is doing. Just like, oh, if you give me that Wishclaw Talisman, I promise I'll search for a land and I'll give it back to you. Just don't give it to that player over there. Or you know what? I'll search for removal. I'll use it on his stuff. I'll reveal it to the table. Just I'll start just being a very aggressive politicker because that's like, I don't know. It's my favorite part about Casual Commander is the shit talking. It's so fun.
Oh yeah, we definitely do some of that too.
It's
especially when some of our other friends are playing with us who have some decks that are less fair, we'll say.
Yeah.
So yeah, like our friend Mitch's Miosian deck. Oh, that's awful. It's like turn 4, all your lands are dead, or turn 4, whatever else he has infinite life or whatever the hell. He has like all 5 of the Miosians, and they're all stupid. They're all so dumb. All 5 of them are terrible.
They're all absurd cards. Yeah, it's always the worst when you're like just trying to like play Commander and someone's like, all right, your entire board is gone. It's turn 5. Sorry, I got the nuts. Next game.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. There's sometimes like there's just like someone whose deck is there just to counter you, and it's just like, well, shit, I should have picked a different deck. I was playing my mono green Spellslinger Storm deck, and as someone else was playing just like a pile of cards from what's the set with the pyramids and the undead?
Amonkhet.
Thank you. From Amonkhet Standard, which includes Avid Mind Sensor. And he responded to me cracking my Myriad Landscape with it, and there are no lands in my top 4. And I was just I know that's a Amonkhet Standard deck that you've turned into a Commander deck, and I can't get mad at you because that's very on theme, and it's definitely weaker than my deck. But God damn it, I lose this game now.
I'm not gonna Avid Mind Sensor someone's land fetch. That is so mean.
It's kind of correct.
My cousin has a Hate Bears deck, and that's literally what he does. Avid Mind Sensor responds to your fetch.
My mono green Spellslinger deck is like mono green High Tide Storm, because in Legacy High Tide Storm, your turnabout is 4 mana, your High Tide is 1 mana. In mono green, your turnabout is Vitalize, which untaps all your creatures, so you turn your lands into creatures, is 1 mana, and your High Tide is Overgrowth, or whatever the one that Verdant Growth, is 4 mana. So it's the same combo, kinda. So it is correct to hate out my lands. I was like, yeah, I can't really get mad. You completely eliminated me from the game there. It's a hard deck to deal with too, because like it's not a lot of people have things that destroy lands. Not a lot of people have like a lot of instants that can like stop me on the turn that I turn them all into creatures and then immediately storm off and win. So I can't get mad when people do that to me with that deck. It's a hard deck to deal with.
Yeah, we usually don't play land destruction. That's pretty brutal normally.
Yep. I'm okay with like targeted land destruction. Like if you got a Stone Rain in your deck to deal with Nykthos and things like that, then
like,
hello Austin. My co-host is home.
Oh, hello. I will play Strip Mine just to be that guy, but that's one.
Yeah, Strip Mine.
As long as you're not doing it with Crucible of Worlds,
no,
as a game plan.
I'm not one of those people.
Yeah.
I know some people in our group who do that.
Yeah, me too.
I do it in my landfall deck.
Yeah, because you're an asshole.
So I'm like, well, it's a landfall deck. I'm going to have fetches and Crucible, and I have Strip Mine in there.
Just
As long as you're not like
happen.
tutoring it out every single game,
No,
I'm fine
yeah, I
with
don't do
that.
that.
If it's like okay, they're all good cards in the deck, and it's not like your
Yeah.
game plan is not I'm gonna get a Rishated Port and a Strip Mine and not lock out my
Yeah,
opponent's.
that'd be one of
My
those
game plan
people.
is more just hit the landfall triggers.
Yeah.
But like, if for some reason I had the combo in my opening hand, I'd be like, okay, next game I win. Like,
Yeah. Happens to be here this time anyway.
Landfall is so fun. I've been building a lot of non-green landfall decks lately, and it's been a blast. It's been like my deck building thing over the last like 8 months.
I will say Omnath is really fun, like with landfall and whatnot. Like that can be a really good time for sure.
Yeah, Omnath is sick. I've been doing I have Elishnorn landfall right now, the mono white Elishnorn that doubles your landfall triggers, which is really fun. And I have mono black with Corlash that I've been working on, which is I like that deck a lot. I ended up giving it away to someone because he liked it more than me. It was proxied, so that's the other nice advantages of proxying. Is like someone likes my deck and be like, yeah, it took me like 30 minutes to cut this out. Here you go. And then for mono red, I have Godo landfall, which is sick. It's like a secret commander Thembershad deck. And you just get Sword of Hearth and Home, attack with Godo, attack again, blink Godo, get Sword of the Animist, do it in next turn, get Bitter Blossom, get like Surveyor's Scope. Just every time Godo attacks, you put like 8 mountains into play, and eventually you Thembershad and win somehow. It's really fun.
Awesome.
Yeah. I've been really going hard with the landfall. I haven't touched mono blue yet because it just kind of seems too easy with the Moonfolk, but I'll get to it eventually.
Yeah. Right. And you can just get infinite land with blue so easily too. So it's just like,
I'm like, all right, the deck seems solved. Someone else can build
Deadeye
that
Navigator literally with anything, and it's like, oh, infinite mana.
Yep,
like,
exactly.
Deadeye Navigator, Peregrine Drake, Deadeye Navigator, like the whales that do. Like, there's so many things that untap lands. It's like, just fork. It's like, like okay.
all right. Well, we should probably start wrapping things up here. So thanks for being on again. It was a blast.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
It was great talking with you.
How can we reach you, or other fans reach you if they want to?
So I'm a member of Elder Drunken Highlander, which is a YouTube channel that does casual deck techs. If you were intrigued by any of the weird things that I spouted today, you'll probably like the channel. You can find us on Twitter at Drunken Elder, and you can find us on YouTube at that name. I'm also here. I'm going to do something fancy for the people watching the videos. I'm also a member of the Punt Pals
nice.
podcast, which is a comedy podcast about losing that I put on with the great Lauren, who is also known as Mr. MTG_hotdog on the internet. And we talk about the 75% of Commander players who don't win the game. And that is, I think my co-host from Elder Drunken Highlander, Austin, wants to say he's crawled under the green screen.
How's it going?
Hey, how's it going?
I love you. Austin's my other co-host from Elder Drunken Highlander. He just got home from something. And so if you enjoy this kind of unhinged stuff, this is pretty constant for our channel, honestly. So definitely check us out.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This is a good time.
Yeah, this is a blast.
Yeah, it was great talking with you. If you want to come on
on
again, or
Starcade.
we'd love to play with you or something. Yeah, for sure.
Heck
play
yeah.
some Commander or something.
Yeah, for sure.
We're trying to figure out how to do some actual like Commander gameplay like videos. So, and always fun to have some some folks outside of just the usual play group that we have. So makes it more interesting. So
heck yeah, definitely hit me up.
All right, thanks
Awesome.
everybody for watching. Catch you later.
Bye.
Have a good one. Well, till next time.